Another exciting episode of Speculative Tolkienism.
All right. So Rings of Power here starts off season 2, and we get this Adar killing old version of Sauron 1.0.
Yeah.
And he kills him, and he thinks he's dead, and he's like, "Are you dead?" He kicks him.
Who didn't see something like this happen?
Right. Are you dead? Kicks him a few times. And then the stupidest thing is like, okay, he erupts with this enormous explosion of ice that just destroys the whole landscape. Okay. Destroys the whole landscape. We have tree branches miles away falling off the tree. Right.
Right.
Now think of the force that it would take to instantly turn a whole lake into ice, smash that devastating force. A mile away, a tree branch falls off a tree, and then the very next scene, we're back to ground zero of this hellish explosion, and these dudes are just fine.
I know. It's like insta. It's insta permafrost.
It's just a sprinkling. It's just a smattering of powder.
But where they're at though, right? Like in geographically in the Middle Earth, it was supposed to be a barren ice wasteland.
Right.
You know,
actually, I read somewhere that this was supposed to be some kind of origin story for the Frothing, like why it's this hellish ice land of ice, and I'm like, no, this was always a land of ice, even in the first age.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like that's
they
what
crossed the Hell Caraxes, and they came down, and that's the farthest northern part in Middle Earth. It's always going to be a wasteland of ice. And so here you have like, oh look, trees and greenery. Oh look, and if it weren't for exploding Sauron, it wouldn't have been turned into this wasteland, which is so stupid because it was always icy. But and then the fact that like it exploded and just devastated this whole countryside, but the people standing just inches away from it are just stirring. Yeah, they're just like normal, like dime a dozen orcs, and they survive. Yeah. Like I wouldn't normally point this out, but there's so many moments in this series where like anomalies of physics happen for no reason, and we're just supposed to be like, oh, okay.
Right, but this speaks to like what the problem that I'm having with this first episode of the origins of whatever situations kind of being shoehorned in and really making no kind of sense at all.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
It's like an explanation because let's stick on this for a minute. Like, okay, so when they stab the shit out of Sauron and his blood seeps it down into the pits and stuff like that, right?
What you were just
all
saying?
The blood, like all of this.
Okay.
See, like whatever this is, like the Sauron's remnants.
Sauron's essence.
Yes.
A black tar-like substance.
Yes.
Dripping down. Do you think this is the stuff that's supposedly like seeping through the leaves in Khazad-dûm?
No, because it's not Sauron. Here's what I think. Like basically, to me, it's symbiotic venom Sauron. Basically, Sauron becomes venom. If you don't read comics, but
okay, all right, okay.
Like I'm talking about like right here. Okay. He's taking over the rat.
Yeah,
but
he's turned into this kind of slimy parasite.
But hold on.
Go ahead.
How much time has passed between the time that he dripped into here?
Yeah.
And because all of a sudden now we are like halfway through the millennia. Or halfway through the age.
Right. I mean, I think we're supposed to like believe this is kind of like a Gollum story where he goes into the earth and he just hibernates down there for millennia, for like hundreds and hundreds.
Here's what drives me crazy. This is actually a decent idea,
right?
You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's elements of this in the lore because the idea is like when Sauron gets slain, he goes into the shadow. He goes into the shadow until he gets reconstituted.
Right.
So I mean, this is kind of based on lore.
But this is a missed opportunity for these. Like Sauron should have not been in anything, right? And again, I don't know how they would do it, but they should have not had him instantly come back. You know what I'm talking about? They could have.
It did seem like a little bit overwritten when you have like they tied this together too much. It just seemed like a a a non-seasoned writer
Right, right. But my point
would have to tie all this stuff in, like, oh, and then you got to show him dripping down, and
yeah, yeah, no, no, but what I'm saying here is if they could have like stretched this out over like 2 or 3 episodes, right?
right,
Where
the
where's Sauron?
reconstitution.
Like, yeah,
No,
where's Sauron? Like,
I agree. Like it, I knew that what they were driving at. Like everyone always knows what they're driving at, but it's like they have to spell it out for us. Like they think we're stupid. Why don't
right,
you just let us like know that Sauron's kind of been held in abeyance momentarily in the shadow world, and gradually you can kind of tease his reconstitution through various suggestions and be like, oh, I think he's reconstituting himself. But no, they had to go like step by step. He eats a rat. Oh, he eats a rat. Look, and there's Sauron. Now he eats a centipede. There's Sauron, and now he's clomping along, and you keep your eye on him, and he never leaves the screen. He's still going and going, and then he comes out into the world, and then he flops down a mountainside, and he has to immediately go and get someone from a cart and take their body, and it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and
right,
it's
right.
like,
That's why I
dude,
said
you should
symbiote,
have
like
just spelled
Venom.
right.
He's like Venom,
Yeah,
but my point, like, yeah, I mean, I think we're driving the same thing, but the fact that they could have like actually hit it where they could have been like he disappeared and showed this thing interacting with stuff that like is not related to Utumno or wherever they're at
hmm
right here, which
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and it could have been like as a viewer, I could have been like, oh, what the hell is this? This is like something interesting, you know,
right.
and then the reveal that is actually Sauron, it would have been so much cooler.
Right, there's no reveal here because everyone they connected the dots so closely that it didn't give us any like joy in like making these reveals ourselves in
Yeah,
our own mind. Like the reveal is already here. Like, okay, so Sauron, you see him like go from point A to point B, and it's all connected. The point is like Sauron really, really wants to survive. He's a survivor. He was down in the caves for all those years as slime, and he ate all those other creatures in order to survive into the next shape, and now he's in this Halbrand shape, right?
yeah.
He meets these people who are leaving death, and he's like, oh well, if you're leaving death, I'm going towards it. Like he's being like, oh, I'm just seeking out death. But it's like, dude, you just spent the last 1,000 years trying to reconstitute yourself. So obviously you
Yeah.
don't want death. You want to cling to life. I just thought it was weird. It's like, why are you saying you are seeking death when you just spent the last 1,000 years trying to come back to life?
But yes, but what I'm saying is like, isn't last season like in the Southlands, which I suppose this is where he is, right? Weren't the orcs being very sneaky and very clandestine and very like we didn't even know that there's an army of orcs. You know what I'm talking about? Like in the
Right.
last season,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden
And all of a
it's like
sudden it's like there's an army of orcs because this is, I mean, it's still okay. So basically, we're like 20 minutes into the new series, right? And
But this is okay. We're
yeah,
getting to
okay.
the point where
Oh,
it's
sorry.
like this is like the dumbest shit ever. You know, it's like he sees this this token, this sigil
Yeah,
token or whatever you want to call it that proves that he's the king of the Southlands.
heraldry.
Yeah,
I think that's what he calls it.
yeah, okay, to Gladriel. It's like, oh, only the king of the Southland would have this. Blah 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 blah. Right.
But
So it's
here's this schmuck who has this same sigil, and he's not the king of the Southlands. He's
but
just a
this is
guy,
this is the yeah, but this is the one he takes. This is the like
right?
the like and and
But
like
my point is, it proves nothing. He's like, oh, what's his motive for taking that? To prove to someone, to some ex in the future, that he's a king. This guy's not a king. He has
well,
it. Why would this prove that he's a king?
but yeah, but which is again stupid. But it's stupid that all of a sudden, like the one guy he talks to and passes, the first one who says anything to him, has this thing
That he,
that proves that he's a king. And then like, hey, we're getting on a boat because we're going overseas. We heard overseas, and that's how he ends up meeting Galadriel,
but
which is even more of a
which is okay. Okay, so this is like the dumbest thing ever. Okay, all this background that we just saw was a way to retcon their meeting in the water, right?
That's what I'm saying, and it's dumb. It's
It's
the same. It's so stupid.
it's
It
like
is.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Because it proves that it was just a big coincidence. He's not seeking out Galadriel. I was hoping that they would be like, oh, he sees Galadriel getting on a boat, so he's going to get on a boat because whatever. It's just all happenstance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This the dumbest. It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's
You
like
can see how upset I am about this. But
right.
yeah, it's
but my
terrible.
but my point is like if you spend 20 minutes of your first episode of your new season retconning an explanation for something. I mean, here's what I think. I think a lot of people complained that this was a random occurrence in the middle of the ocean, right?
And
And
it's
they're like,
still a random
"Oh,
occurrence.
that's what that's what I'm saying." No, but they were like, "Oh shoot, we got to explain why he's there." And so they explain why he's there, but they forgot to give him like a reason for being there.
That's what I'm saying. It's so stupid. It's like, oh well, this is why he's going across.
It's just as random as it was before,
That's what I'm saying.
even with the 20-minute explanation that they just gave us.
Yeah,
It's just as random as it was last year or 2 years
that's what I'm
ago.
saying. Like,
They spent 2 years
and
trying to explain something that and the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Like it wasn't worth the explanation that we got spent 2 years waiting on.
and is this the only explanation that we're going to get? It's like, okay, we got to explain why he was out there. This is it's dumb. It's so dumb. It's so
Oh wait, you
dumb.
got some water on your
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not saliva. It's water. I just drank
We're
water.
frothing at the mouth,
Yeah, I know.
with
But
indignance.
did I mention to you how dumb I thought this
No,
was?
this was so dumb.
Okay.
Again, like when it first started, and it was a Sauron type guy trying to convince orcs, like a politician, like follow me, vote for me, and I will, a chicken in
Yeah.
every pot. And then they turned on him. I was like, that's kind of cool. But then it instantly got so stupid, and then I realized what all this was building out up to, and 1,000 years went by from this distant flashback to now, and I'm like, that's all we get, like 1,000 years of history just to explain why they met in the middle of the ocean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
which is still not an explanation.
No, it explains why him and Adar are why he doesn't like Adar and Adar doesn't recognize him. So, and then it explained why it's in the middle of the ocean, like two birds with one stone. And
Right.
then how Gladriel thought that he
But
was a king. It
but
was
later
it,
Adar tells a story. It tells Halbrand a story that he actually likes Sauron because when he was alone in Utumno or wherever it was and starving and thirsty, Sauron came and gave him wine as red as a plum moon, a plug
yeah,
moon.
yeah.
And Sauron befriended him and gave him dignity and gave him wine and took him under his wing. So why did Adar turn on him and stab him like that? It doesn't make
I
any
don't know.
sense.
Maybe that again. I'm betting on that Sauron, like he thought that Sauron was going to be like another Melkor Morgoth, and all the orcs were going to be enslaved. And what he wants is a free orc society with homes of their own, and basically accepted
And
by the
jobs,
and jobs,
minimum
and
wage,
yeah,
and
oh
$15
God. I mean,
minimum wage.
but again, this whole what I mean, this is like the first 10 minutes, and we've been talking for
Yeah. We've been talking for almost a half hour, but anyway,
yeah.
let's move on. Okay,
We never.
so this is actually a flashback. Hold on. Okay.
No, this is in real time.
Okay.
Right
No,
there.
hold on. Now, this is why this whole flashback was confusing, because if we continue to follow Halbrand in this flashback, it goes from what we think is in real time to a flashback, and now we're back in real time, and I thought it was a flashback of some kind.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
it's just so bad, such bad writing because it's so confusing. So this is from from season 1, well, where Waldrig pledges his allegiance to Adar. Okay.
right.
And Adar's like, you must pledge your allegiance to me. There's Adar.
Yeah.
And he's getting everyone to pledge allegiance to him. And here we are again, another allegiance pledging scene. But this occurs, we're not told this, but if you figure it out, this has to occur after he's already fought against Adar as a quote unquote king of the Southlands, and then has
Yeah.
already gotten injured and gone back to Eregion and gotten healed and told Celebrimbor about what an alloy is and started creating the three rings, and then came back here to disguise himself to become a prisoner of Adar again.
I know, but
Does that make sense?
no, because if you see the last shot of the last season,
Mm-hmm.
he's got his cloak and he's looking like he's ready to go and
And
take care of
conquer.
business.
Yeah.
But it's like where's the change of clothes? I mean, like it just there's
There's no
so much that
continuity.
it's terrible, and it doesn't even like show him getting captured or whatever. But
Oh.
like it's so it maybe they were hoping that people, because only 37% of the people actually finished this series, that no one would have not known what happened in the last episode of season one.
Right.
Yeah, so dumb.
So this is another dumb scene though, because
Yeah,
so Galadriel sought out a new ally, a wizard,
Sorcerer.
a sorcerer.
To instruct the elves in forging a new weapon. Set my people free and I will tell you where he can be found. So you can destroy him and rid us both of his evil.
So this was so stupid. Because from like if Adar doesn't recognize him as Sauron, which he should, because just because he seems to get a vibe. Why would Adar believe? I mean, why would Adar believe anything this guy's saying if he's just the king of the Southlands? He's inventing this story like, hey, I'm just coming up with this story. You can't verify this story. I could be pulling this out of my ass, but set all my people free because, hey, Galadriel knows someone that's going to be a threat to you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not very convincing. Like, oh, okay, I'll just drop everything. I'll let you go. I'll let all these people go just because you tell me this story that's uncorroborated. I haven't verified it with anyone. You're just telling the story of some guy that's going to be a threat to me. And it's like, and he says to rid, it'll help you fight him, to rid us, both him and Adar, of this evil. And I'm like, dude, you're in prison in freaking Mordor. Like, it can't get much worse for you. What do you care whether this evil's gotten rid of? You're at the worst. You're at the lowest of the low right now, a prisoner of orcs in Mordor.
Yeah,
and he's concerned about ridding the world of this evil that Galadriel knows, some sorcerer that's going to somehow make life even worse for this guy right now. It doesn't ring true, and it wouldn't have rung true for Adar. It's like that's a stupid story.
It's poor writing.